Let you know, man, you are really encouraging me, motivating me, inspiring me. God is really using you to help me out.
Family, you guys are so amazing. I'm Mr. Aos Inspires. This is Aos The Podcast, and our mission here is to empower the world to never give up, one conversation at a time, one interview at a time, one video at a time, to help you get to the next level. On this episode, we're going to talk about something that that may be a little bit edgy for some people and may be uncomfortable for some people, but I truly believe that if you apply the principles, and this episode is geared towards women, right? I mean, I had a conversation this week with somebody, and the conversation was so helpful and so enlightening to her. I was like, yo, let me make this an episode, because if she feels like this, and if this conversation was beneficial for her, imagine how many of my thousands of listeners, right, this would be beneficial to them as well. So I said, let me go ahead and get active. Let's make this an episode. But like I said, this episode is going to be a little bit challenging. And the great thing about this episode, men can apply these principles and the ideas and the knowledge the wisdom that I drop in this episode. You guys can apply this as well to your life and to what you're doing and your everyday, endeavors, right? I believe that this will help you as well on your dating scene. I'm talking to singles on today. I got a few episodes that's going to be geared towards married couples, but today we're looking at singles. We're talking to singles, in particularly single ladies. And the name of this episode, I'm going to do the preliminaries in a minute, but the name of this episode is, what are you willing to do? Period. Like, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do? Because before we get there, let me do this. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you that follow us on all the social media platforms. We are doing it on IG. Of course, it's not the explosive growth that I want, that I desire, but you guys have been showing up and showing out. The algorithm has showed us, and also too, doing a correction. Last week, I told you that we're going to post later, but the numbers did not. It didn't do the numbers that we thought it was going to do. When we were posting at 8 a.m., the numbers that it did 8 a.m. were much better and much more engagement than it was later. Of course, the algorithm says that people that follow us, that subscribe to us, are on later. So what we're doing is we're going back. I can't afford to take that big of a dip in a few, so we're going back. 8 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We may throw some content in the middle as well. We've been throwing bonus content. That's why we at 90, almost 90 episodes, and when I say 90 episodes, this is collectively everything. AOS Notes, which we haven't brought to you in a while. AOS Notes, the episodes, the full form episodes, and also 5 minutes of motivations on Friday. So we're going to start back at 8 a.m. This is dropping 8 a.m. Monday. So you guys have got this on Memorial Day. Salute to all of the soldiers. But what I'm saying is, what are you willing to do? Right? Matter of fact, I got ADHD. I apologize. So if you're on YouTube, I need you to subscribe even right now, no matter where you're watching this video. I need you to go ahead and subscribe. Also subscribe. Follow our Facebook page. And matter of fact, all platforms, you can type in AOS The Podcast. We will pop up. Find our page. Subscribe. And also, I'm talking to the team now. We're looking to get on Google Play. I believe that's what it's called, Google Play, for our podcast. Had a few people hit us up about that. So we're going to look at that and add that to the list of where we post our podcast. I'm excited. So, but what I'm saying is, what are you willing to do? Right? Or what are you willing to change? Also, this is in collective, in cahoots, where we're talking about what are you willing to do and what are you willing to change to be found for the ladies. This is for the ladies. And like I said, man, you guys can eavesdrop into this conversation as well. So I had a conversation with her, and what happens is crazy, right? She is an African woman. And I really want to dive deep into this conversation because I want to begin to stir up the thinking of people. So the concept was, she's a 40-year-old African woman. And forgot where she said she was from, but I know she's from Africa, right? She's a 40-year-old African woman. And she said that she's been dating guys, and she's a Muslim as well, right? So she said that in her 20s, and when she approached 30, she was like, religion was like one of the deal breakers for her. Right. So she said that religion was big on her scale. That was huge. She really wanted the guy that she married to be black. That was number one. But then also number two, she said she wanted him to be Muslim as well. So, we begin to dive deep into this thing. And, fast forward to her being 40 years old, I asked a few qualifying questions. And one of the things that I asked her was, did you want children? Or do you want children? She said, absolutely. I want children. And she said she wants two. So fast forward to today, she's 40 years old and she's engaged. Well, she's not engaged yet. She's dating a white guy. Right. And she said that but this is the thing, right? This is the twist that she told me. She said that he did not grow up in America. He grew up in Thailand. Right. Because, I think his dad or something like that was in the military or something like that. So, but he didn't grow up in America as a typical Caucasian fellow would, right? But he grew up abroad. So she said that his values and the things that he looked at, his outlook on life was a lot different versus a guy that's from America. It was just different, right? So the way we got this conversation going was she was just in a happy mood. So I asked her, I said that, why are you such in a happy mood? And she told me why she was in a happy mood. But she said she began to think. And I said, what are you thinking about? She said, I never thought that I would adjust certain criterias or certain things that I wanted in a relationship so that I can get married. And I said, why are you doing that? She said, because my biological clock is ticking. I was blown away. Why? Because it serves for a great dialogue and a great conversation. So I listened to her story, and her story made sense. It really did. It really, 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 really did make sense. So the question I want to pose to all of my listeners, men and women, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to change to be found? And even for the men, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to change in your life in order for a woman to accept what you're offering? Right? Let's look at it from both angles. So, ladies, let's dive deep real fast. I believe that through my experience and what I've been noticing and taking note of, a lot of women, right, will adjust certain things about her to adapt to a relationship, right? I've noticed this greatly in women versus men. Men, on the other end, it's crazy because how the double standard is. Women, once they hit 40 years old, I'm not saying it's a done deal, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that once a woman hits 40 years old, it's a done deal. She can't get no guy if she doesn't have a guy. However, it's an uphill battle once a woman hit that 40. Actually, let's really be honest. Once a woman hit that 35-year-old mark, it's an uphill battle from there, right? Because you can have a woman that is gorgeous and she's 35 years old. Let's look at it from both spectrums. She's woman 35 years old, gorgeous, but single. The first question that raises, how is it that she's beautiful, 35 years old, and single? What is the issue? Is she nasty? Do she have a mean attitude? Does she wring guys away? What is it? Is she a user? What is it? Is she a leech? What is it? Because this is the thing. Women, like I said, at 35 years old, there's an uphill battle for relationships for you. Why? Because it seems as if that there's something wrong with you. And then it may not be nothing wrong with you, but perception is everything. And it's like, why is it that she's 35 years old? She's fine as wine. I mean, she has all the attributes. And it's crazy because in the beginning of any relationship you see, or in the dating phase, you're like, oh, yo, she checks off or he checks off every single box that I desire or that I requested, in my little list of females or women or men that I want, what I want in a man, what I want in a woman, right? They check it all off. But as you begin to spend time with them, I've talked to multiple people that started off a relationship and it was great. Like, this is the best person I've ever had. Like, they dope. Then 6 months later down the road, you find out the real them. You begin to spend nights. You begin to spend extensive time with them. I'm going to say that. Spend extensive time with them. Then you're like, hold on. This is not what I'm looking for. And it's crazy because you learn people even greater when you move in with them. Or better yet, when you spend extensive amount of time with the person. Like, I'm not just saying, you spend a whole week with the person and you go to your house. No. I'm talking about like go on vacation with the person. And over the weekend, you go on a vacation with the person for the weekend. That's cool. But over the weekend, they can still hide who they are. Right? But if you take an extensive vacation, like let's say for a week, it's hard for them to hide who they really are. It's hard. It's hard to put on that facade for a whole week. So you really discover a person when you move in. Some people, morals, like, listen, I'm not moving in. And I'm going to tell you this. There are some pros and cons to both sides. Many people will say, hey, I am not moving in with a person unless we're married. I don't care if we're engaged. I don't care if we have intentions to get married. Things can go sour. I get it. That's their moral standard, right? And then some people like, yo, let's move in together. Let's test this relationship out because it's crazy. This is what's really crazy. You really don't discover who a person is until you guys move in together. Because then you begin to see their flaws. Then you begin to see their ups, their downs, how they really are. Are they clean? Are they dirty? When you move in with a person or you guys live together, coexist together, you will find out who they can't hide it then. They can't listen. It's only so long they can pretend that they're neat freak. It's only so long they can pretend that they wash up every day, right? It's crazy. But I lost my train of thought, but I'm gonna holler at y'all right here. Women, what I've noticed, women will adjust just to fit into a relationship. I think I knew what I was going. So 35 years old, a woman that's 35 years old, that's beautiful, gorgeous, both sides of the spectrum, look at, single with no kids, right? The first thing that, and the sad part about it is, it's worse when she has kids. Especially if she has multiple children. Now, if she has one, you may find a guy that falls madly in love with you. And of course, like I said, listen to me, it's a double standard. Because you got guys that have kids that may not live with them, but it's more acceptable than the woman that has kids that live with them because it's like a package deal. You're like, oh, my money don't go that far, right? Or I want to have kids. But let's look at the woman that's 35 years old, single, no kids. And your question is, why is she single? Now, there's two sides to this thing. You have the woman that's boss, that has money, right? That makes well over 6 to 7 figures. And you're like, why is she single? The first thing that pops in your mind is she makes money. She's beautiful. She calls her shots. She can hold her own. She might be mean. She might be bossy. She may be that controlling type woman, right? And that's a turnoff for a lot of guys. Some guys will go with it. Some guys like, nah, that's a turnoff for me. I can't deal with that. Let me curve that. Like, that's real. So there's an uphill battle for the woman that's 35 years old that has money. And, the truth of the matter is she can, and it's crazy because most women in that category that makes their own money, right? They lead with this sense of entitlement. If you don't like those words, it is what it is. This sense of entitlement, like, I don't need a man. And you would never be able to attract what you really need because the man is the poor. We are pourers, right? So what you need, we pour into the need. But if there's not a need, there's nothing for me to pour into. In essence, I feel as if I have no place in your life. Why? Because you got it all covered. I know you can buy your own car. We know you can buy your own house. We know you can pay for your own meal. But when there's nothing for me to pour into, there's no place for me in your life. Bars. And it's crazy because on the spectrum of the older woman, that's what you see. The older 35-year-old woman that gets money, that get to the bag, right? And she's so used to calling shots that Now, let me clear this up. Not every woman that's in that category operates like that, right? There's some women that operates with she's submissive and humility. She's feminine, all of that, right? But I'm talking about the biggest stereotype, and it's not just black women; it's all women, right? I've seen this with different ethnicities. Now, a conversation that I do want to have is certain cultures. No matter how successful she is, there's just certain behavior that they are subscribed to. Period. I don't care. She could be a millionaire. She's in certain cultures, she's still submissive, as if she's broke, right? And that's another episode I'm gonna get on too, because a lot of people misconstrue what submissive is, as if a man can't be submissive as well, or he shouldn't be submissive. That's bananas. So the woman that's 35 years old, we talked about that's single, that has no children, that's a boss. Now let's talk about the other woman. She's 35 years old. I'm going to break this thing down all the way down, even with the men part. You have the woman that's 35 years old. Let's say 35 to 40 years old, single, right? Has children and single, right? I just said single double time, but you guys see what I'm saying. She's 35 to 40 years old, single, and she has children. Now, the reason dating for her is an uphill battle is because she comes with baggage. Now, it's one thing if she has one child. That's one thing. Many guys, I'm not going to say most, many guys are willing to put up with one child. Like one child, you'll slip through the cracks. It's cool. It's all cool in the gang. Now, let me, before y'all kill me in the comments, you have some guys that no matter how many children you have, once they fall in love with you, they're in it for the long haul, and they're willing to assume the responsibilities of you and your children. I'm not talking about those guys, but for the average guy, for the guy that she really wants, he's not going to want her, because he looks at her as, oh man, I get it. It's a package deal. However, it's more burden than I'm willing to handle. Especially if his money is not like that, right? Like if his money is pretty decent, like say he makes $60,000. Truth of the matter is, if you work a W-2 job and you make $60,000, you're really bringing home maybe 40, maybe 45,000, right? That's after taxes. And truth speaking, he's really bringing home less than that after the bills are paid, rent or mortgage or whatever it is, whatever the situation is. He's bringing home less than that. So his money, I'm going to tell you this. Most guys that when they get into a real committed and, they making a conscious decision to get into a relationship, most guys think logical financially. Most guys, especially if they have good credit, they think logically with their finances. Like, can I afford this woman? Like, I get it. She has a child or children. Can I afford to take care of her, live the life that we want to live, and make sure that I have enough to accommodate the children, whether their father is in their life or not, right? So, as I said, it's an uphill battle. I'm going somewhere. This is a good episode. It's an uphill battle for that woman. That's why, watch this. That's why many women that's at the age of 35 to 40 years old that have one or multiple children that's in a relationship, they will put up with the drama. They will put up with the toxicity, right? Why? Because they understand that if I get out this relationship, it's hard for me to get into another one. It's going to be hard for me to find another. Now, I'm going to tell you this. There's going to be many women that listen to this podcast, that listen to this episode, and try to prove a brother wrong. Nah, he ain't right. I can get any guy. And then once they get out there and they see it, they be like, oh man, it is hard. It's difficult. Because this is the thing. You can be attractive. You can be highly attractive. However, you can be so much of a burden financially to a guy. This is what he'll do. He'll treat you as a good time. He'll have fun with you. He'll smash. He'll do everything that he can do. But assuming the responsibility, he won't do. Why? Because you come with too much baggage. Period. And it's not your fault. Sometimes it is some women's fault, but for the most part, if a relationship didn't work out, it just didn't work out. Now you have children, you were married, now you have children, or maybe you wasn't married, but the relationship didn't work out as planned. Now you have, baggage. You have a lot. Let's call a spade a spade. You have baggage. I don't care if you can take care of the children yourself financially, right? I don't care. Right? I don't care, because this is crazy. A lot of women believe, and this is another situation, right? I met this nurse and I'm like, why do you need a BBL? She got a BBL, right? And I'm like, wow, you what, 40 years old getting the BBL? For what? You're married. What you need that for? So many women, a lot of women believe that if I look good, I can pull what I want. That's not the case for every woman, right? Truth of the matter is, a lot of guys that have finances that's really getting to the bread, they want a younger looking woman or a younger woman, right? Because they feel like they can mold her, and she's not. It's a lot of factors that goes into that. Why older guys want younger women, especially guys that are financially set. Why they want younger women. Now, older guys, like I said, want younger women. Younger guys want older women that's established. It's a totally different dynamic, and that could be a totally different episode. However, the woman that's 35 to 40 years old that have children, you are considered a package deal. You are considered a woman that has a lot of baggage. And when you have a lot of baggage, it becomes hard to be in the market for the type of man that you really desire. I'm not saying that you can't get what you desire. I'm not saying that you should lower your standards. That's not what I'm saying. However, I need you to be realistic. It's just like this. If you go to the car lot and all you got approved for was $50,000, right? But the car that you really, really, really want is $90,000. You can do what you want to do. You can't talk them down to $50,000. You're not going to talk any dealership from a $90,000 car to a $50,000 car. You're not. They're not going to approve it. Now, what you can do is you can bring your $50,000 check that you got from the institution, the banking institution that you got it from, and you can put the rest up in cash. Then the deal will go through. You can meet them halfway. If it's $90,000, they may say, hey, let's do $85,000, right? But the thing about it is, many of our great women have a desire for a specific type of guy that really don't want them. Let me break this down. Who they want doesn't want them, but who they don't want wants them, and that's the person that they need to be with. I'm not saying that when I say that, I'm not saying lower your standards or accept what you can get and you can't get the best. That's not what I'm saying. I believe that a lot of women that want a particular type of guy that don't want them, right? They do themselves a disservice. Why? Because this guy that you really, really, just like a person that has a limited budget, but you want an expensive car. The truth of the matter is, you may want the car, but financially you can't afford the car. The car doesn't want you financially. So since the car doesn't want you, or you can't handle the car financially, you're doing yourself a disservice because you're drowning yourself in debt that you can't afford the car up front, right? So since if you can't afford the car, you can't afford the maintenance, period. Let's call a spade a spade. If you can't afford the car to pay for, you can't afford the maintenance as well that goes along with that vehicle. So 35 to 40-year-old women that have kids, it's an uphill battle. Now, I'm not saying that you can't get a guy. You can get a guy. You can get a guy, right? I want to get into the meat and bones of this episode, but you can get a guy. However, the type of guy that you really, 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 really want may not really, really, really want you. He may want to have a good time with you. Just take you out, wine and dine you a little bit. Don't have to deal with the responsibilities. He may want to wine and dine you a little bit, smash, take you on a few trips. But when it comes down to really assuming the responsibilities, he's like, no, because you're 35 to 40 years old and it's an uphill battle. I'm cool. Right? Now, let's get on the guys. Now, it's crazy because many people look at this as a double standard, and it is a double standard to a degree, but this is reality. A man that's 35 to 40 years old. Now, it's many, many factors that goes into this thing. The main factor, I'm going to say this. Like I said, the 35, 40-year-old woman, she looks good. She's in shape, but it's still an uphill battle. Now, you can have a guy that's 35 to 40, or let's say 35 to 50. Let's broaden the range. He can be 50 years old, but he has money. And he can be out of shape. Let's put all the bad factors in that thing. But he has money. Let's keep on going back to that. He can not look that good, but he has money. He can be out of shape, but he has money. He is the guy that the woman will go for. That's their pick right there, right? I mean, it's crazy because, like I said, the 35 to 40-year-old woman that has children, she's on the uphill. Her dating challenges is really steep. But the guy that has money, that's out of shape, that doesn't look that good, but he has money, his dating chances are great. Like, I mean, I'm not going to say he has the pick of the litter, like he can pick anything he wants, but his pickings are greater than that woman that's 35, has her stuff together, looks good, but she has children. It's very slim. I mean, that's for a totally different episode. I would love to hear I know some of y'all can comment and, it's cool. I want to hear what you got to say. That's a great conversation. Why is it that a woman that has her stuff together, both sides of the spectrum, a woman that's making 6 to 7 figures, or even a woman that's barely making it, but they both look good, they both have figures, one has children, one doesn't have children, and both are an uphill battle to get into a relationship? It's crazy. That's a conversation that I would love to have a guest on for that one, because I really want to talk about that topic and to understand why is the dynamics like that? Why? For what? Why? Right? And the biggest thing that I said was it's a lot of financial responsibility. A lot of finance. And most older women and younger women at the same time, the reason they would choose this guy that's ugly, they would choose this guy that's out of shape, right? Whatever. But he has money because he shows stability. Most women look for stability. Stability. Period. Like, listen, I ain't got to worry about me losing my house. I ain't got to worry about me losing my car. I don't have to worry about me going hungry. This guy is going to provide. So that's why I say women will sacrifice certain desires and certain wants and certain standards to be in a relationship. Why? On the other end, a guy, he doesn't have to sacrifice many standards or many desires, right? Because and I tell people this all the time, what you won't do, somebody else will, period. I don't care what situation you're in, what you won't do, somebody else will. Like, you can slack on any area of a relationship, right? You can be married, single, or in a relationship, whatever. If you don't spend time, they'll find another brother, another sister that will spend time with them. If you don't have sexual relationships with them, they'll find another brother, another sister that will have sexual relationships with them. If you don't spend no money on them, they'll find another brother, another sister that spend money on them or spend money with them, period. What you won't do, somebody else will. That's just how it goes, and it's been going for time, forever, right? Now, they will do this, somebody else will, but the commitment level won't be the same as the original person that you're with. That's one thing that a lot of people really don't unpack first before they cheat, before they leave, before whatever. They don't unpack that. Okay, this person doesn't, and I got to slide this in here before we get into the meat and bones of this episode, and I'm almost done. But I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't unpack before they leave or before they cheat or before they figure out, like, this situation doesn't work for me, so let me go into a different situation or let me entertain it. They don't really look at it. The people that you're entertaining on the side really doesn't know your flaws. They only see your highlights. Wow. The people that you entertain on the side only see your highlights. They don't see your flaws. So it's easy to fall in love with you or like you a lot when I see nothing but your highlights. I don't know that you have an odor issue. I don't know that you have bad breath. I don't know this, right? I don't know that you're not great with kids. I don't know this. I don't know that you can't cook. I don't know that you hate to work. I don't know that you can't keep a job. I don't know that your credit is bad, because I'm only seeing your highlights. And that's why you have a lot of people that have side dudes, side chicks. So when you fall in love with the highlights, I'm not really necessarily seeing your flaws. I don't know your flaws, right? Because you only discover a person. Watch this. I'm going to tell you this real fast and we dip it. A person, have you ever went on a date, or, you just talk to somebody and say, what's your biggest flaw? They will tell you a flaw, and this is just by default. They will tell you a flaw that they don't mind you knowing about. When you, in fact, go on a date with somebody and you guys are just having dialogue and you ask them, what is your greatest flaw? What is a flaw about you that you don't like? They will give you a flaw that they don't mind you knowing, or that's not a deal breaker for you, because they don't figured you out. They don't got a feel for you. So they're not going to tell you a flaw that's a deal breaker. They're not going to tell you, oh yeah, I don't like to brush my teeth. I don't like to wash them. They're not going to tell you that. They're going to tell you a flaw that they don't mind you knowing. Why? Because you're not going to look at the flaw that they tell you as a deal breaker. I'm giving you too much sauce on that. That's a totally different episode that we drop in next week, talking about the dangers of side chicks and side dudes. It's crazy. But so, as I said, 35-year-old, 40-year-old women, uphill battle. 35 to 50-year-old man that has money. I mean, he can really almost pick what he wants. Like, I want her. She'd be like, let's go get it. Not just sexually, but let's build something. Like, listen, you don't look that good. You can't dress. You ain't got no style, but you got bread. It's cool. I can teach you all that stuff. That's her mindset. I can help you with all that. That's cosmetic stuff. We can work through that. He got the bins. He can put me in the rank, whatever. Right? Because women look at the stability side. That's why a guy doesn't need. Now, let me clear this up, because I know a lot of y'all gonna try to kill me in the comments. A guy doesn't need a woman's money. Right? Listen, when I talk like this, I'm not talking about the deadbeat guys that mess with women because they have money and they use them and abuse them financially. Nah, I ain't talking about them guys. I'm talking about stand-up guys, stand-up real brothers, real men will say, listen, I don't need your money. I get my own money. You may make more than me, but that's not my leading factor why I'm dealing with you or why I want to get to know you better. All right, let's get into the meat and bones. Now, so we dealt with that on the front end. Let's deal with this. What are you willing to change? Let's start with this. What are you willing to do to be found? Before we get to the change part, what are you willing to do to get found? Right? I'm talking to the ladies right now. What she was willing to do, what I told you about the lady in the beginning of the conversation, what she was willing to do, she was willing to say, you know what, religion is not that important. She's a Muslim. And the guy that she's dating, she said that he is, I know he wasn't Muslim. I don't know what religion affiliation he was, but he wasn't Muslim. I want to say he was Christian. That's what I want to say. Maybe Catholic, something like that, right? But the question is, what are you willing to do? Now, I'm not saying that this is right nor wrong. I have no opinion against it. You do what you do for you. But what are you willing to do? I want to give some practical keys, because there are some things. I'm not saying that, if you don't believe the same belief as me, I know some people that won't work. That's a deal breaker for them. And in her case, it wasn't a deal breaker. She's like, listen, I've been trying to find guys that believes like I believe, and the relationship didn't work out good. It was horrible, right? It was horrible. He cheated. He did this and whatever. That's what she said. It was horrible. So she said, let me try something different. Evidently, what I want doesn't want me. That's what she said. So the question becomes, what are you willing to do to be found? What are you, ladies, come on, talk to me. What are you willing to do to be found? Are you willing to do what she did? Say, hey, listen, religion is not that important. Age is not that important. Finance is not that important. Credit is not. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to adjust? That she was like, no, this is the top tier, what I desire, what I'm going to get. What are you willing to do? Now, when I say, what are you willing to do? I'm not saying, are you going to do something crazy with your body? Nah, that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. What are you willing to do? Are you willing to step your game up financially? Like, are you willing to hustle? Right. And the reason I say that, because most people are like, oh, you think money is everything. No, it's not. But what I have discovered is success will allow you to get access to a better quality people. That's what success will do. Success, and I'm not just talking about success in the corporate world or the marketplace. I'm talking about financially. Because you have some people that are successful in the marketplace that has not made that equate to finances. But when you begin to get more money, you will get in rooms that people that don't have your type of money can't get into. That's real. That's facts. That's facts. So with money, it gives you access to greater people. So the question becomes, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to become so that you can get the type of person that you really want? That's a bar. What are you willing to do? Right? Because this is the thing. Are you willing to just buckle down and get your credit right so that you can drive? And it's crazy because many of you won't understand this. And if you don't understand, you just don't. If you do, you do. The type of car that you drive, right, will allow you access to certain groups of people. That's just facts, right? Have you ever walked into a bank with regular clothes on and they treat you one type of way, but you walk in the bank with a suit on? No money in the bank, but they treat you totally different. How you doing, sir? How you doing, ma'am? Right? They treat you totally different. And that's, why is the world like that? I have no clue. That's how the world is. When people think that you have money, they treat you totally different. But when they feel as if you don't have no money, the disrespect comes. Or not necessarily the disrespect comes, but the royal treatment, if you will, is not there. They don't treat you in high regards. That's just how it is. All right. So what are you willing to change? That's the one I really wanted to get to. Ladies and gentlemen, what are you willing to change to find or get the person that you want to be in a relationship with or that you want to marry? What are you willing to change about you? Are you willing to work hard at changing your attitude? That's a big one. Are you willing to work hard at changing the way that you deal with money, finance? Because some people, if you don't handle finances well, that's a deal breaker for them. What are you willing to change? Are you willing to change the way that you dress to get the person that you want? Are you willing to change the way that you smell? Right? Because some of y'all, hygiene ain't on the top of your list, men and women. Right? Are you willing to change that? I need y'all to tune into my 5 minutes of motivation. Listen, bananas. It's a game changer. But just tune into that and you'll understand what I'm saying. What are you willing to change to get access to the person that you really want? That you feel that together we can build something amazing. We can build a real empire. What are you willing to change about you? Because this is the thing. If you don't recognize what needs to be changed about you, you will always remain the same for year and year. You'll be like 40 years old. Like, why can't I get a man? Because you're not willing to change in this area. Some of y'all attitudes need to adjust. Some of y'all, your facial expression needs to change. Some of y'all walk around nasty faced, like, ugh. Like, just got a mean mug, and the guy's like, nah, I ain't talking to her, she look mean. Or on the vice versa, men, you walk around mean mugging, and she like, nah, I can't. He approached me all wrong. There are some things about singles, right? There's a reason, and I know some of y'all get mad, but it is what it is. There's a reason, singles. There's a reason why some of y'all single. You need to figure that out and change, period. Right? Because, and this is what kills me about singles. Many of you want certain things in another single person, but you're not willing to be that thing that you desire. Like, you want somebody that's good with finances, but you're horrible with finance. You get $100 and it's gone in a second. Food and everything else. Weed, alcohol is gone. Like, you don't need this stuff. Like, really do right by your money. Right? So what are you willing to change to get access? Now, I'm not saying you change it and you get the person. No. You change and you get access to the type of person that you really want. Because how you are right now will not allow you to get access to what you really desire. There has to be a mindset shift. There has to be an attitude, personality shift, right? Like, some stuff got to change about you for you to get access to what you really, really, really want. So let me ask you the question again. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to change to be found, ladies? Like what are you willing to put on the line? What are you willing to do so that you can secure the spot in a man's life who you really want, that you believe that this is the person for me? And I need you to really think about that, because many of you are not willing to do much. Many of you are not willing to change nothing. And then you want to complain why you're not in a relationship. I wonder why. You run everybody off. You so nasty. Your attitude. And I'm going to tell you this. I hate when people say this. I am who I am. Either love me or leave me alone. That's why you're alone right now. That's why you're alone. Because of that same mantra that you say, either love me or leave me alone. I am how I am. Either take it or leave it. Well, listen, I'll leave it. Period. Stay single for another summer. And you like, why they don't want me? They don't want you because you got to change some nasty, funky attitudes you got to change some stuff about you. Like, you're beautiful, but your beauty is minimized because of your attitude. Your beauty is minimized because the way that you deal with people. Your beauty is minimized because you feel as if that's all I got to do is be beautiful and I can get what I want. Nah, it don't work like that. Beauty fades. Facts. Listen, family, I love you guys. This episode has been brought to you by Winning After a Major Loss, publication that we produced in 2016 that has sold over 2,000 copies. We sold thousands of copies of this book. And I truly believe that if you get this book, it'll change your life. Winning After a Major Loss. It's going to change your life. Have you ever faced a major loss or any type of loss? I'm giving you practical tools. It's a solution that will help you get to the next level and work through the challenges that you're faced with even right now. You can win after your major loss. Listen, family, if you're on YouTube, subscribe to Aos The Podcast, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Aos The Podcast, also Facebook. Follow us even right now on TikTok and IG. Aos The Podcast. I promise you, we're going to bring value to your life. Why? Because our mission is to empower the world to never give up, one conversation at a time, one video at a time, one post at a time, to help you get to the next level. I'm out of here. I love you guys to life. I'm Mr. Aos Inspires. This is Aos The Podcast. Let's go.